Morning Warriors, Shai here from Soft Solutions, where I take a moment every week to share some of the struggles of our client community and to provide a couple of recommendations for those of you who might be facing a similar challenge in your business. I really wanted to talk about data-driven decision making today, especially in a world where we've got big data and we've got business intelligence and we've got the cloud. Um, those concepts are really key for us to make sound business decisions, whether they be strategic ones or operational ones. Okay, so let's get into it. We really only need to look back about 10 or 15 years to understand some of the struggles we used to have with accessing data. Finding competitor and industry data was really hard, and collating and collecting specific company data was actually very difficult as well. However, these days it's kind of the opposite. You can probably find competitor and industry data online somewhere, and you've got access to some really powerful tools that will help you collect your internal data as well. So now that you've got access to these three data sets, what you want to do is do something really smart with it, which is actually the whole idea behind business intelligence. When you're making decisions for your business, you want to synthesize your company data and your industry data and your competitor data if you can, and draw a realistic picture of what your business looks like today. And then what you want to do is draw a projection or a picture of the future using the same data um, after you've made your decision and implemented it. And that will help you really understand some of the gaps that you have. For example, I have a company in the healthcare industry that was solely targeting the premium products, the premium market. And so when they put these three pieces of data together, the gap showed that they were sort of um, not touching any of the lower market end. Okay, and so what they did was they ended up spinning off a new brand that specifically targeted the lower market with a really cool, innovative business model, and ended up doing really well out of it. But the idea was that they put the three sources of data together and the data spoke to them. The other thing that happened with that data set was that it had three sort of must haves for data. And those are my three recommendations today. So the first recommendation is around business intelligence. Business intelligence is just a new way of talking about business reporting. Instead of talking about what it is, which is reports, we now talk about what it does, which is gives us intelligence. Okay, so reporting is really actually a very complex thing, especially in a business environment. What you need to do is understand the methodology behind all the numbers you see on your report, and that is a lot of work, but it does give you a lot of intelligence as to those aggregations happened and why you're looking at a summary. For example, if you're looking at a report that says profit is X, um, and you know profit to be revenue minus cost, but the person who put the report together thinks that profit is a different sum altogether, you might be looking at a label that says profit and a number that is maybe nice, but you don't really know what that number is because the definition has changed across people, and that can be a really big problem in many businesses. So when you're creating new reports or you're updating old reports, or if you're going through a whole BI project, make sure when you're defining reports, you define the intention of the report, in this case the sum, rather than just the headline act. So not just profit. Don't just ask for profit, ask for the sum underneath, or at least label it with profit. Okay, so tip number 2 is really around consuming your reports. When you're consuming your reports, you want to know two things. They are comparable over time, and they're comparable across your business units. So, for example, if you're reviewing the initiative, the ROI of an initiative from your marketing team, and you're comparing that with an ROI of an initiative from your sales team, you need to understand that the methodology for those two ROI calculations were alike. If they're not alike, you're actually not comparing apples with apples, and you'll end up making an unfavorable decision. Okay, so that's really key. Similarly, you want to compare reports over time. So, for example, you'll be comparing current period metrics with same period last year, for example, or maybe this month with last month. But if the methodology has changed from last month, then you're not actually comparing anything. And because those apples are not equivalent to the apples of this month, you might be in a place where you're not seeing the real truth behind those numbers. Okay, recommendation number 3. This is sort of becoming one of those recommendations I love giving because lots of people find a lot of value out of it. And that is to look at your reports as something that is living. Make sure you keep iterating them. The key to your reporting is this. You want to see what you need to see at the time you need to see it. It sounds funky, but it's actually quite difficult to do that. If you wanted just-in-time reporting for all the information you needed, your tech teams and your operational teams are going to be exhausted. But that doesn't mean you can't start trying. It is nigh on impossible to nail the report the first time. You will not get it right, and that's just the way it is. So what you want to do is get that report out, any report, something, at least something, and now you start iterating. If you're looking at this report, if you're consuming it monthly, then ask for changes monthly. Well, this looks slightly different. I want to change that. Or actually, that number doesn't make sense if I don't have another number that doesn't exist here. So let me compare those two. So ask for that change. The reason you want to do that is because if you're missing numbers or your numbers are, if you're not looking at the right thing at the right time, then you're going to mislead your consumers. So another example, I've got a client who is in an industry where the lifetime value of a customer is really important. It speaks to the quality of the service. So they track the lifetime value of the customer really well. And so they've had a really favorable lifetime value number, and they introduced a new product, and the product inherently had a short lifetime. Okay, and so the value of that product was short as well. But what happened was they didn't change the reporting. And so when the reporting went to the execs and they went to the board and went out to the public, the shareholders, it became something that you could panic about. Because all of a sudden, after years of positive lifetime value, you're starting to see a trend down. What they should have done was iterate that report so they could see the traditional products and the lifetime value of that stay steady or increasing, hopefully. And then a sub-line that would say, okay, here's the new product and the lifetime value is X. And because of that, we're going to see a headline trending down because of it. Okay, so once you have numbers that make sense to people, they won't panic, and then you have less questions to answer. So there are my 3 recommendations for today, guys. I hope they were of benefit to you. If it did resonate, please just hit the like button or the love button or whatever it is these days. But if you have a specific question, please just put them in the notes. Someone from my team will definitely make sure that I see it, and I'll try to respond to you. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. My name is Shai. I'm from Soft Solutions. I hope to see you next week. Until then, keep focused.